1, 2, 3, 4.
What's that sound? Did I get a Harley? Nope. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. Today I have a little bit of time. I'm going to pull the spark plugs out of the 87 Toyota pickup. So in the previous videos I got the vacuum leaks fixed, so I made my own gaskets for the carb and the carb adapter, and that helped out a lot. I also went in and I got the choke adjusted, and I got the high idle set as well. So it's still running kind of bad, especially when it's cold. When you first start it up, it's like it's running on 2 cylinders, and it takes probably 20 minutes for it to warm up. So today I'm gonna just check some of the basic stuff over. I'm going to pull the spark plugs out, check them, clean them as needed, and then I'm going to check the timing. So hopefully we discover something and we get her running reliably again. I have all my stuff here and ready. I got some gloves, got my 3/8 ratchet with an extension, and a couple of spark plug sockets. So before we get started, I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of this 1987 Toyota pickup, and these Toyota pickups in general. These things are incredible. If you haven't heard, they're almost indestructible. And if you have a chance, watch Top Gear's episodes that they did on Hilux, which is essentially the same thing. Theirs was diesel, but this truck is equipped with the venerable 22R. It is a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, and from the factory I think they came with 90 horsepower. Now the only thing that made it at all usable was the torque, and what Toyota did was they made a pretty long stroke, and at 2.4 liters being pretty big size for a 4-cylinder, then it gave it enough torque to do the things that the truck needs to do. Really, they're just incredible trucks. I know my dad had talked about putting a Chevy 350 in it a time or two, but for me, I'm just gonna keep the old 22R in here. If I ever do swap it, it'll probably get another Toyota engine. So, you know, it's the thing about these, what makes them so reliable is that they're so simple. I mean, look over here at the fuse box. So if I can pop it open. And after some finagling, we got the cover off. So here it is. I'm always real careful to try and not break these plastic clips off. So did it rather delicately, but it is off, and this is what I'm talking about with the simplicity of these Toyota trucks. I mean, this one's carbureted, so there's no fuel injection, but this is the extent of the electrical system for this truck. I mean, I haven't ever seen anything so simple, and it works. You don't have to worry about stuff breaking when there's not as much to break. So good little trucks. I got my first spark plug wire off there. They just pull straight off. Sometimes they can be stuck on there pretty good, but I got this front one off, and I wanted to show you. It's a 13/16 spark plug that's in it, and the first socket I had grabbed is this 12-sided one, and I went to go put it on there to pull it out, and I slid it on there, and it just has a whole bunch of slop. And if you can see it, It's all the way down on there. It won't twist, but it moves around so much. You want to stay away from that when you're pulling out spark plugs, because when you go to torque down to pull the spark plug out, the socket will flop over and it'll break your spark plug. It'll break the white ceramic part right there. So went back in my box and tracked down a 6-sided one, and it fits on there just beautifully. So no slop at all. That's gonna be the one. We got one out, and boy, look at that. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Come on. Look at that. That is fouled. So when you pull out a plug and it is just black and sooty like this, then it has been running really rich. And so I think probably what happened is when I had got it running, I changed out those gaskets. That carb was all out of adjustment, and in the process of tuning it, it probably fouled these puppies up pretty bad, because I think it was probably set pretty rich, trying to make up for the vacuum leak below the carb. So we'll get these puppies cleaned up, and I bet you she's gonna run like a top. Okay, we're back in the garage here, and I just wanted to show you guys real quick on one spark plug what I do when I'm cleaning and checking them. So I got 3 things, well actually 4. Got 4 things here. We got my spark plug. I usually leave it on the extension with the socket. If it's got the little rubber piece in there, it holds onto it real good. And then I've got my brush, and I'm going to retract again. 3 things, count them. 1, 2, 3. That's it. I got my brush. It's just a metal brush, and then I have my spark plug gapper. So I'm going to start out. I'm going to take my spark plug, and I'm just going to try and clean all that soot and all that black crap off of there. Making sure to get in between the ground strap and the electrode, in between. Get all that out of there. I'm gonna try and get it cleaned up a little more. And I think I might grab a more abrasive brush, because this one's, they're a little softer. So go over here and grab another brush. That one should do. So after hitting it with a little better brush, it's cleaned up pretty good. It still has some of those little spots and indentions in the ground strap. I don't know what those are about. And then I noticed that the ground strap looks a little crooked. See that? Don't really like that either. So I may just have to pick up a new set of plugs for old red. But for now, we're just going to make sure that they're gapped right, clean, and see if it runs better. So when you're going to check your gap, you want to see what the factory recommends the gap to be set at. And usually on the on most vehicles, it's on the tag on here. And so you just look, you got ignition timing, idle speed, idle mixture, fast idle speed, valve clearance. Well, let's see, I don't see it on that one. Is it on this one? Huh. No. You guys tell me if you see it. I don't see it. Well, if all else fails, then Google. Okay, so what we want is 0.031. Now I have my gapper here, and these things are just tapered as you go around it, and then they have the markings for the thickness all the way around. Now if you look on here, we have 0.030 right there, and one little hash mark above that is 0.031. So we're going to put it on here at the skinnier end, slide it down, and we'll keep an eye on where it's at. Oh yeah, it looks a little wide. So if it's a little wide, you just take it, and I'll usually just use the concrete, but just take it and tap it a couple times. Some soot falling out of inside the spark plug, and it looks like I might have done it way too far, but we can always adjust it out. So put it on here, slide it back down. We're still, yeah, we're almost right there. It's still just a little bit wide. So tap it, just a real light tap. Chance's got to inspect, and then we will check it. And so you can kind of wiggle it left or right real easy, and it'll go as far as it'll go. Now it looks like we're a little bit tight, so I'm just going to wiggle it till it's right about there. Yeah, and I just look at the middle of the ground strap. So right at the middle is right at about 0.131. So that should be good. Now I'll just repeat that for the other three, and we'll try and fire her up. It's also a good idea when you get the spark plug wire off to go in here and hit it with a quick spritz. Blow everything out. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh!
It's my life. It's my life.
So I wanted to stop real quick and show you guys this one. This is the number 3 cylinder back, and look at that thing. It's got some junk or something in there. I don't know if that's just oil buildup or if some crud got in that cylinder, but doesn't look very good. It is all buttoned back up and together. We went through, cleaned all of the spark plugs, checked the gap, except for maybe that back one. I feel like I forgot to check the gap on that one, but should be okay. It is buttoned up. Let's see if we can get her to kick over. See if she runs better. Let's see. Got the keys. Nope. Gonna have to grab the jumper. Okay, we got our jumper here. I want to give a huge shout out to my grandma. She got me this jumper box for Christmas, and it is awesome. I mean, this thing is like tiny compared to my old one. We'll do a little side-by-side comparison. Look at this. This is my old jumper box, and this is my new one that I got for Christmas. Thank you, Grandma. And the thing's awesome. Like, for a little bitty thing, I used it to jumpstart this to go pick up that wood that's sitting over there. It was right down the street, and the battery is trash in this truck, so it jumped it at least 5 or 6 times, and it still had like 60% battery, so really awesome little things. She's a running. Sounds like that high idle's still set a little high. But that's much better. She's smoking. I gotta figure out why she's smoking so much. It looks purple to me, so it looks like oil. But make sure the car's not crazy rich, I guess. Alright, well, we got her running on all 4 cylinders again. Got it up to operating temperature, and now we're gonna check timing. So it's still smoking pretty bad. It looks purple, but it doesn't smell like burnt oil, so I'm not sure what's going on. I still have to figure out that carb. I just am not a carb guy. But I do know how to check timing, so let's make sure that's right. First thing you need to do is find the number 1 spark plug wire. So on most distributor caps, they'll have markings on here. Most of them at least just say number 1. This one marks every cylinder, but number 1's right here. It's the first cylinder at the front of the truck. Slap that on there. You want to make sure that it slides, that it's actually in that hole for the wire. Also make sure that your timing gun, the connector for the wire, doesn't go up against the exhaust. That's never a good day. Then you take the other connectors for the timing light and connect them to the battery. So red goes positive, of course, and black goes negative. Alright, now we're all set up. The instructions on the hood says 0 degrees at 950 RPM max with vacuum hoses disconnected from the distributor and sealed. So I did mess with the idle a little bit. I bumped it up some closer. I think it's right at 950. So we've got that set, and what we'll do is we'll pull off our 2 vacuum hoses that go to the distributor. So this is the vacuum advance for the distributor. There's a diaphragm in there, and there's 2 hoses that go here. And what we're going to do is pull them off, and I just grabbed a couple little things that we can stuff in there. Put our screw in this one. You just want to make sure that there's no vacuum leak, which is also the reason why we fixed the vacuum leaks on the carb. So I'm going to have to find something else to seal up this one. Alright, we got this little guy here. Toss him in there. Now, I want to make it clear, this is a temporary thing. We're just doing this to check timing. Do not take vacuum lines off your car and stick bolts in them and consider that a permanent solution. No, that's just temporary. Alright, so I'll explain what I'm going to do after I start it up. Because it's got to be hard to hear me. So what I'll do is I'll start it up, and you'll see me come over here, and down here on the crank pulley there is a number of markings. So there's as I hold down the trigger on the gun, it's got a flash of light, and it'll light up the mark that's spinning around on the crank pulley, and then I just need to match that up with the corresponding timing mark that's on the block. And so I'll actually, let me grab the camera and I'll show you. So it's right down there. There's the timing point. You can see 0, 5, 8 or something, and then 12. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start it up, press down on the trigger, and then we're gonna line up the mark with the 0, because the idle is gonna be at 950. The vacuum is removed from the distributor, and it says 0 degrees max, or 0 degrees at 950 max. Alright, so it's a 13, and we're just going to loosen it enough to where the distributor will spin. It's kind of hard to get in there. There we go. That's probably too loose. Alright, we'll give that a try. Well, she is running much better. So she's definitely running on all 4 cylinders again. The timing's correct. The idle is set just about perfect. And the high idle, I don't know what the deal, if it was just the choke at the beginning that was making it rev up so much, but it felt like it hit the high idle after I kicked the choke off. But it's running much better. It's still smoking a lot, so I'm not really sure what that's about. If any of you guys have any insight on these 22Rs and smoking issues, I mean, besides, you know, the obvious rings and seals and stuff like that, let me know, and maybe I'll do a video diagnosing it. But for now, she's running, and hopefully be reliable enough to drive around as my 4-wheel drive. So I'm happy with it. I think Pops would be happy knowing that his truck's getting taken care of. So thanks for watching.